Welcome to this presentation on MLA Citations. I'm Patricia Morris, Coordinator of Library Research at the Florida Gateway College Library. In this session, we will cover how to do in-text citations and the end-of-paper list of references known as Works Cited using MLA format. First, let's define what MLA is. MLA stands for the Modern Language Association. It's a professional organization that promotes the teaching and study of language and literature. Among other things, they publish the MLA Handbook for writers of research papers. The MLA format style is primarily used for humanities subjects such as history, literature, philosophy, or religion, but can be assigned by an instructor of any subject area. Let's start our discussion with in-text citations. So why do we even need to use in-text citations? When you write a paper, you'll have a combination of ideas and concepts, some that are original to you and some ideas and concepts that come from other sources, the research that you've done in preparing to write your paper. For any idea that is not original to you, you must provide a citation that will answer the question, how do you know this? We use in-text citations to show you did the research, to give credit for the work of others, to provide information so someone can look up the original source, and to avoid plagiarism. Avoiding plagiarism is a very important concept, and you must understand that even unintentional plagiarism can have serious consequences. In the FGC Student Handbook, plagiarism is defined as the unauthorized use of the words or ideas of another and the representation of them as one's own. Today's presentation will help you understand how to use citations to properly give credit for the work of others. For example, let's say we're doing a paper on Michael Jackson, and we've used information from this book, Man in the Music, The Creative Life and Work of Michael Jackson by Joseph Vogel. In-text citations are used within the body of your paper to give credit right after you use the words of another work. This could be a direct quote, or a paraphrase or summary of the author's work. In our paper, we could include a quote from the book. A quote or quotation is identical to the original resource. It must match the source document word for word and must be attributed to the original author. We put quotation marks around the quote to show it is word for word from the original source. The quote is, "Thriller was more than just an album. It was a mass cultural multimedia phenomenon that hasn't been matched in scope before or since." These are the author's words taken directly from the book. To show that this is taken from the book, we put the quote in quotation marks and include the in-text citation at the end in the format parentheses, author's last name, page number, close parentheses, period. Note that the final punctuation of the sentence comes after the citation. Another type of citation is the paraphrase. You paraphrase by putting the author's ideas in your own words. Because the idea is not original to you, you have to give the credit in a citation. If we paraphrase the same quote from the previous example, we could write, "The album Thriller was such a great achievement that its success hasn't been matched by any other albums." The citation for paraphrasing has the same format as a quote, parentheses, author's last name, page number, close parentheses, period. The third type of citation is the summary. Summarizing involves putting the main idea into your own words, including only the main concept. It is short and to the point. We can summarize the original quote by saying, "Thriller was considered the most successful album of all time." The citation format is the same as quotes and paraphrases. Let's take a look at the three examples together. The differences between them are subtle but important, and they all need to give credit to the original source reference. Another way to use information from a source is to do a signal phrase in which the author's name is worked into your sentence. In our summary example about Michael Jackson, we could rewrite it and use the author's name in our sentence. Vogel calls Thriller the most successful album of all time. Since we have already named the author Vogel in our sentence, we do not need to use it again at the end, and we would only put the page number 55 in parentheses. This is called using a signal phrase. There are many other variations on how to do the in-text citations. If there are two authors with the same last name, include the initial of the first names for your in-text citations. If the same author has more than one resource cited, use the format, parentheses, author's last name, comma, title of the work to indicate which resource you are citing, page number, close parentheses. What if there is no author given for a book or article? If there is no author to a cited resource, use the book or article title in place of the author's name. Note that you italicize book titles and put quotation marks around article titles. Before we move on, please note that your instructor's requirements may vary from this information. Always follow your instructor's directions if they differ from the MLA formats given here. Let's move from in-text citations to the Works Cited page. An in-text citation differs from the end-of-paper Works Cited in that the in-text citation is noted in the body of your paper, right after you use the words or ideas of another, and it identifies the source of the information you are using. Readers can then refer to the Works Cited list for the complete and full citation of the referenced resource. You may have heard the end-of-paper list of resources called a bibliography or a reference list. In MLA format, it is called Works Cited. Your Works Cited page lists all the resources you use, alphabetically by the author's last name. Let's look at the basic format for adding a book to the Works Cited list. The other types of materials, such as ebooks and articles, will follow this same basic format with some modifications. The format for a book is last name, comma, first name, period, title of work, colon, subtitle, period, city of publication, colon, publisher, comma, year of publication, period, medium of publication, period. And here is an example. Note that the title of the book is italicized. You capitalize the first letter of each major word in the title and subtitle. You indent the second and subsequent lines, and the medium of publication is print. Here are some other variations you may encounter with book references. If you have 2 or 3 authors, you invert the name of the first author, then put the other authors in regular first name, last name order. Here is an example. Ivory, James, and Robert E. Long, period. For more than 3 authors, you can list all their names following the previous example, or list only the first author and use et al. As in this example. Et al. Is Latin for et alia, meaning all others. If no author is given, start the entry with the name of the book. When you alphabetize your list, go by the first major word. Do not use the, a, or an in alphabetizing if it is the first word in the title. Let's move on to ebooks. If your source is an ebook, you follow the same format as a print book with some modifications. Here is the example. Note that you include the database source in italics and the medium of publication is web. The date accessed would be the date you did the research. Most likely, a lot of your research will be done using articles from periodical databases. Periodicals include regularly published items such as journals, magazines, and newspapers. Here's the format for citing an article from a journal in an online database. And here is our example. Note that you put the article title in quotation marks with the period inside the ending quotation mark. You capitalize the first letter of major words in the article title, subtitle, and the journal title, and you also italicize the journal title. Give the volume and issue numbers as volume.issue, or leave this part out if they aren't given. The year of issue is in parentheses, and you do not use a month or day for journals, only the year. Add the database or website title in italics. The medium of publication is web, and then you add the date of access in this format, abbreviating the month except for May, June, and July. This would be the date you did the research. Follow the same rules if your source is a magazine instead of a journal, except omit the volume and issue number. They aren't used for magazines. For online newspapers, there are a few other things to include. You italicize the newspaper title, and if it's a local or regional newspaper and the city name is not included in the newspaper title, add the city name in brackets after the newspaper title, but don't italicize the city. For example, Florida Times-Union, Jacksonville. Do not put the issue date in parentheses for newspapers, and you include only the first page number. If the article is continued on another page, put a plus sign after the page number. As you can see, there are a lot of details and many variations for these Works Cited entries. There are a lot of rules. Where do you put periods? When do you use quotation marks or colons? Do you italicize this part or that part? It can definitely be confusing, and you're not meant to try to memorize it all. Instead, use a good MLA citation source that will give you the format formula and show examples for the type of entry you need. Then you can plug in the information for the specific resource you have. The authority source would be the MLA Handbook for Writers of Research Papers, but it can be complex to understand. There are also many websites that have been developed to help explain the rules clearly, giving many examples for you to follow. At the FGC Library, we recommend the Purdue OWL website from Purdue University. Their online writing lab has many helpful explanations and examples. This section on the left shows the many different parts of the MLA Citation Formatting and Style Guide. It covers what we've talked about here today and much more. There's also a sample paper that gives tips on writing and formatting your paper and a sample Works Cited page. As always, there are lots of rules to remember about formatting your final paper. A brochure on MLA citations is available in the FGC library. We hope this presentation has been helpful to you. If you have any questions about using MLA citations or anything regarding your classwork or Florida Gateway College, please do not hesitate to ask for help in the library. We are here to help you be successful in your classes. Thanks for watching.